The idea of the Dallas Cowboys bringing back Nahshon Wright would have sounded unrealistic a year ago. Today, it feels strategic. After a breakout season with the Chicago Bears, Wright has gone from forgotten draft experiment to one of the most intriguing free agents in this cornerback class. And timing, more than nostalgia, is what makes this conversation legitimate. Dallas originally selected Wright in the third round of the 2021 NFL Draft with upside in mind. At 6'4" with elite length, he was always viewed as a developmental project rather than an immediate starter. The physical tools were evident. The refinement was not. In 3 seasons with the Cowboys, Wright flashed but never fully claimed a defined role. 32 games, 3 starts, limited impact. His lone interception in Dallas didn't hint at what would eventually emerge. At the time, he felt like a long-term bet that never matured. The trade to Minnesota in 2024 quietly signaled the organization's impatience. Swapped for Andrew Booth, Wright became another what-if story. Yet sometimes development requires the right ecosystem. Minnesota didn't unlock him either. Everything changed in Chicago. Reuniting with defensive backs coach Al Harris provided familiarity, structure, and trust. Wright wasn't just inserted into the lineup, he was empowered. That difference showed up immediately in his production. Now, entering free agency at 27, Wright isn't viewed as potential anymore. He's viewed as impact. The question for Dallas is no longer whether he can play. It's whether they can afford to admit they may have moved on too soon. Wright's 2025 season with the Bears wasn't incremental improvement. It was a statistical leap. 8 total turnovers generated, 5 interceptions, and 3 fumble recoveries tied him for the league lead. That's not luck. That's ball production. He recorded 80 tackles and 11 passes defended while handling full-time starter responsibilities. More importantly, he earned his first Pro Bowl nod. For a player once labeled raw and inconsistent, that's a dramatic narrative shift. Turnover production is one of the most volatile yet valuable defensive traits in the NFL. Dallas understands this better than most. When their defense thrives, it's because it takes the ball away. Wright fits that identity naturally. What stands out isn't just the numbers, it's the timing of them. Wright emerged when Chicago needed stability in the secondary. He wasn't protected by scheme alone. He delivered in high-leverage moments. That's meaningful growth. Scouts once questioned his instincts. In 2025, those instincts translated into playmaking. His length disrupted throwing windows, and his confidence attacking the football was evident. He no longer looked hesitant. He looked decisive. For Dallas, this creates an uncomfortable but intriguing evaluation. Is Wright a system beneficiary, or did the Cowboys simply misjudge his development timeline? Free agency will test how strongly they believe in that second possibility. The Cowboys' secondary is at a crossroads. Depth issues and inconsistency exposed vulnerabilities last season, especially against explosive passing attacks. Reinforcing the cornerback room isn't optional, it's strategic necessity. Adding a proven ball hawk would align with defensive identity principles Dallas historically values. Wright's size also provides matchup flexibility against larger receivers in the NFC. That physical profile carries tactical benefits. However, this isn't purely about fit. It's about internal accountability. Re-signing a former draft pick who blossomed elsewhere is an organizational statement. It signals growth in evaluation or acknowledgement of past miscalculation. Seattle has also been mentioned as a strong landing spot, and Chicago retaining him remains plausible. That competitive market matters. Dallas wouldn't be negotiating in isolation. Demand will elevate his price. The Cowboys must determine whether Wright's breakout was situational or sustainable. Defensive back performance can fluctuate dramatically year to year. Investing long-term requires conviction that 2025 wasn't an outlier. Still, the upside is real. A 6'4" corner entering his prime, coming off a Pro Bowl season, who already understands the Cowboys' culture. On paper, that's a rare alignment of familiarity and production. This is where the optimism collides with reality. Dallas is already navigating a tight salary cap structure. Recent commitments, including the 3-year deal for running back Javonte Williams, have intensified financial pressure. The organization is also managing broader contractual dynamics surrounding wide receiver George Pickens. Flexibility exists, but it requires restructuring. Every addition now demands strategic cap engineering. According to SpotTrack projections, Wright could command roughly $16 to $17 million per year, potentially totaling $50 million over 3 seasons. That's starter-level investment money. This wouldn't be a depth signing. Dallas can restructure larger contracts to create space. They've done it before. But cap manipulation has future consequences. Short-term competitiveness sometimes increases long-term constraints. The key question becomes philosophical. Do the Cowboys prioritize stabilizing the secondary now, or do they preserve flexibility for future roster decisions? Wright's market value forces that choice. Financial feasibility doesn't automatically translate to financial wisdom. If Dallas moves aggressively here, it signals belief that this defense is one piece away from regaining dominance. Bringing back Nahshon Wright would not be sentimental. It would be strategic correction. Teams evolve. Players develop. Sometimes separation creates clarity that proximity never allowed. From a football standpoint, the move makes sense. Turnover production is scarce, and Wright demonstrated he can generate it consistently. That trait changes games, especially in January. From a financial standpoint, it's complicated but manageable. Dallas possesses the structural tools to create cap space if leadership prioritizes this acquisition. The real barrier isn't mechanics. It's conviction. The optics are interesting as well. Reacquiring a former draft pick who blossomed elsewhere can either look reactive or progressive. It depends on execution and results. If Wright continues his upward trajectory, this becomes a redemption story for both sides. If regression hits, it becomes a costly gamble. That duality defines free agency. For now, the Cowboys stand at a familiar crossroads, balancing cap pressure, defensive need, and long-term vision. Whether they pursue Wright aggressively will reveal more about their 2026 priorities than any press conference ever could.